Welcome to Books and Besties, the virtual book fair. Share this link with others and get ready for something awesome. Books and Besties, the virtual book fair.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone it is for you. Welcome to today's episode of Books and Besties. This is the day the Lord has made for us, so I'm rejoicing and I'm glad in it. Let me tell you why we do this show. And somebody just mentioned this. What do y'all do? Do you read books and discuss it? Yes, we do. We generally are discussing the books that we published. My co-host in the show is Avalon, and she is a retired nurse. And her latest book, and I tell you, she got a plethora of books, but her latest book includes a collection of nurse and medical instructors, people that are teaching the next generation that are coming in. So we're excited to talk to Avalon about her latest book and to also talk about how things work in the nursing and the educational area. That works out really, really well. So before we bring Avalon in, I just want to tell y'all we got a couple of announcements to make and a new show. Well, not a new show, a show that went on hiatus for a minute, a little extended vacation, and now they're back. So let me tell you about A Conversation with Mama.
We're excited to officially announce that A Conversation with Mama is returning for season 2. Join us as brand new episodes premiere starting Sunday, May 10th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Presented by Sister Batten Productions and Angie BEE Productions, and led by the incredible Dr. Arville Hawkins. This new season promises to bring even more powerful conversations and meaningful biblical teachings designed to uplift, inspire, and speak directly to your life. Be sure to turn on your YouTube notifications and tune in via Facebook Live. We're back in full effect and ready to connect with you. Don't miss our season 2 premiere on Sunday, May 10th, featuring a special message honoring mothers in celebration of Mother's Day. Until then, blessings to you from the entire team of A Conversation with Mama.
I'm so excited about A Conversation with Mama. Like I said, they took a little bit of time off, but man, when they came back, these episodes are eye-opening. They are wonderful. You really feel like you're sitting and listening to somebody talking to their mother. You really feel that. And with the show, there's so many scriptures that are a part of the show. It's almost like a Bible study, just in listening to their 20 to 30 minute conversation. So A Conversation with Mama every Sunday at 3 p.m., and Eastern Standard Time. And we hope you enjoy it and let everybody else know that the show is wonderful. It really is. Okay, we got one more special announcement to make. In Worthy Beyond Expectations, Tamisi Gordon shines a powerful light on the unspoken weight often carried by firstborn children. From responsibility placed on young shoulders to silent sacrifices made for the sake of the family, this heartfelt story explores the pressure to be strong, mature, dependable, beyond their years. Through struggle, resilience, and self-discovery, Worthy Beyond Expectations gives voice to the eldest child's journey. reminding us that even the strongest need understanding, support, and space to simply be a child. Worthy Beyond Expectations by Tamisi Gordon. Audiobook produced by Angie BEE Productions and narrated by me, the Queen Bee, Angie BEE. And Tamisi Gordon is really excited. Every time she sells one, she has to autograph it. She puts it on Facebook while she's autographing. So excited about Worthy Beyond Expectations because I'm a firstborn child. So that book is written just for us firstborns. Okay, let me bring in my co-host, Avalon. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
You look all bundled up. What's the weather in New Jersey?
It's a little cool today. Little cool today.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard on the news y'all had a heat wave for a minute.
For a minute, then it just started raining. It's supposed to rain this whole weekend, and the weather
Oh,
got
good.
in.
Oh my goodness, not the whole weekend.
Yes,
Well, it's good for the lawn, you know.
true for the grass. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about this new book you've done and why did you decide to do this one?
Well, I had been doing uh anthologies regarding nursing, so I did one regarding nurse bullying, and then one about how we wouldn't quit. So then I
Mhm.
decided to do a book on those that teach the people to be nursing because you can't be a nurse without somebody teaching you. So I
Mhm.
decided to put some educators together, do a book, and allow them to give their insight and how they teach and what they feel about nursing today and the direction that nursing is going in because it's forever
Mm.
changing. Every year it's changing something new in nursing, new
Mm.
policies, new procedures. So I gathered 6 nurses, 7 actually, that actually teach other nursing students, and asked them to put a chapter in this book, preparing the
Mm.
next generation. So it's voices of professional educators that's actually
Wow.
taught this book. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I wasn't an educator, but I was a preceptor. So I was a trained preceptor. So when the new nurses actually come to the floor, a nurse is assigned to one of them to follow them throughout their orientation. So I was that nurse who
Oh my
followed
goodness.
through the orientation, teaching them the routine of the floor, the meds, everything that they had to do, their procedures. So I followed them throughout their orientation. So I was teamed up with them. So I was their preceptor throughout the whole time.
How long does orientation last?
Well, during it was when I was working, it was 6 weeks. I
Oh.
think they extended it a little bit to maybe
Oh.
2. You probably have to ask the ones that are actually on the floor with them now, the educators that's in the hospital. But during my time, I'm retired now. They had 6 weeks of orientation, but they were also on 90-day probation.
Oh.
So it depended on my evaluation if I felt that after 6 weeks they were ready to be on their own or if I could release them to, but I was still available for them to ask any questions.
Okay. Okay. Wow. I guess from a patient's point of view, I like knowing that they got their training and more for those 6 weeks. Yeah.
Yes, yes. You have some patients that know that they're new because they see the preceptor with them. They're a
Mhm.
little hesitant, but as long as the preceptor is in the room at the bedside with them, most of them was cooperative. Yes.
Nice. That's nice. Yeah, I've had a couple of nurses in my day practice on me trying to get some blood, and then when they couldn't, they called somebody else who called somebody else. So yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all you have done in your 40 years of nursing, Avalon. I just think it's incredible.
Thank you. Yes, I've trained many nurses. I've trained many nurses. Even when I was in dialysis and I was the charge nurse, I trained other nurses to go to other facilities to be in charge at our sister facilities.
Mm. So let me see the cover of that book again.
Yes.
That's nice.
Preparing. Yes, and these are the educators on the back of the
That's
book.
nice. That is
Yeah.
nice. That is nice. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So, how did you d- did you let me see. Last time we were together, we were talking about an event, a kids book event. Did you have that already or is it coming up?
So June 6th, gonna be at the Roselle Sports Center. June 6th
June.
in Warren Park, the Warren Sports Center. So that's a
That's
big event. There's all children books, all children authors.
okay,
Yes, it has.
okay.
I'm ready.
That's a Saturday, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay, remind me to air a rerun. We'll air a rerun of Books and Besties, so you don't have to worry about getting everybody together.
Well, you have three authors coming in on that day.
Oh, I do? Okay,
Yes,
thank you. Thank you. We will miss you. It won't be the same without you.
I'll pop
Let
in
me
here and there.
Okay. Let me tell you about Worthy Beyond Expectations. I've been reading through it and it really is something. It really does what the back cover says it does. It shines a light on the unspoken weight carried by firstborn children, and I'm a firstborn, so I was really excited about it. But there was a chapter that talked about choosing yourself is not abandonment. Choosing yourself, and it's got self-care, and I think it's just a really powerful little book. I hope you guys get a copy of it. It's on Amazon, or you can contact the author directly and she'll autograph it for you. But I really, really do like that book. Really do.
Right.
Okay, we got another book that you did that I want to play the commercial for. So here we go. Mommy, why do I have a cold? Written by Avalon Brown. Dedications. This book is dedicated to all of my grandchildren. You are always coming to hug and kiss Nana, especially when you have runny noses, sneeze, or cough. Nana loves you. Let's work together to keep the germ population down.
Mommy, where do colds come from? Why do I have one?
Mommy, why do I have a cold? Written by Avalon Brown. Narrated by Sonia B., Sandra B., produced for audiobook by Angie BEE Productions, and narrated by me, the Queen Bee, Angie. Yep, that's it. Why do I have a cold? I love your collection of children's books. I really do.
Yeah, they're all based on the grandkids, so things that they
Mm,
like.
yeah, yeah, that's a
But
good one.
What I like to do is like one of the nurses, I like to read a part from his chapter that
Okay.
um the reality new nurses face. I
Oh,
really liked what he had to say, and that was Winston Murray.
oh,
Um,
okay. Go ahead.
I have also seen another side of nursing that we do not talk about nearly enough. The culture many new nurses walk into of feeling unsupported. I have seen them overwhelmed, made to feel small for asking questions. I have seen environments where the expectation is too tough and they have to figure it out or prove yourself through silent struggle. I have seen bullying, dismissive, and the kind of passive hostility that can make a nurse question not only their confidence, but their place in the profession. We have to be honest about that. We do new nurses no favor by pretending all they need is more grit. Sometimes what they need is a healthier culture. Sometimes what they need is a better teacher. Sometimes what they need is a leader who remembers what it felt like to be a new nurse and choose to train rather intimidate. The profession does not get stronger by eating its young. It gets stronger by developing them. That is why the role of preceptorship and mentorship cannot be overstated. A good preceptor does more than orient a nurse to tasks. A good preceptor helps shape how a nurse thinks, responds, communicates, and carry responsibility. A good mentor reminds a new nurse that growth takes time, that correction is part of development, and that struggles at the beginning does not mean they do not belong. The right mentor can make the difference between a nurse who leaves and a too much and a nurse who can become exceptional. Yeah, I thought I really liked that passive in his chapter. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Pulls it all
Yeah.
together, what you were just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works out good.
The
Well, we have,
reality that Mhm.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's the reality that they face. That was his insight on the reality the new nurses face.
Wow. Wow. Well, we have Dr. Lois Green. She's waiting to come on. You want to tell us a little bit about her before we bring her on?
I talk about. We'll let her give her own bio when she comes in.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Uh,
I'm excited.
let-
All right. Welcome to Books and Besties, Dr. Green. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
yeah,
Excellent.
you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate. I
Mhm,
appreciate that.
mhm. I'm I'm loving your earrings.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you. My mom was like, "Be comfortable." I was like, "Okay, it's Saturday. I'm gonna be me."
Yeah. So
right.
tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So I'm a senior vice president at University Hospital. I am responsible for the wellness, human experience, population health department. And so I work with really the entire hospital to, I like to say, bring love to the hospital. One of the things that is really important in patient care is respect. And
Mm,
so our department, the human experience, makes sure that we look out for the patient, their families, the community, and the employees. So you need
mm,
that whole system in order to care for the patients that we're caring for. So that's
mm.
what I do.
And how
Yeah.
long have you been in the field?
So I've been in nursing since 1986, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, a long time, a long time. I started out as an emergency room nurse and really got to see and learn what a community was. When you go to the ER, you kind of learn what's going on in the community. And that
Wow.
really gave me the sort of inspiration to learn, just develop my skills. I think leadership is something that's important. I think leaders that understand what the staff are going through is really important. Sometimes I caution, I see students, they come out of high school, they go to college, and they automatically want to be leaders. And I think in nursing especially, nurses really require or want a leader that understands what they're doing and how they're doing it so that they can make an environment where they can do it better and do it well. So I was really happy when Avalon got us together because
Oh,
it's great to have these conversations with nurses.
and
It is.
why did you decide to go into nurse education?
I couldn't hear you. It cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that any better? Let me see.
Yes. Yes.
Why why did you decide to become a nurse educator?
Mm. I think that when you learn something from someone, when you see anything really, and you want to do it well, you want to learn from someone that you respect, someone that gets it, that knows how to teach. Every good nurse is not an educator. I think I can
No.
do things well, but there's sometimes people who don't have patience with trying to teach someone else how to do it well. So
I
I
can
think
imagine.
understanding the mechanics of learning, I love adult learners, and I felt it's important when you are getting into nursing and learning really something that's a skill and an art, you kind of teach the important mechanics and then let that person bring their personality to it. And I loved what Avalon was reading before, because having a
Mhm.
preceptor is so important, but you get something that's not even measurable when you're learning from another person,
Mm,
their energy, their confidence. You can't structure, but you get while you're really precepting.
mm,
Preceptor. Yeah.
I like that.
Tell us through the challenges, how you felt about the challenges of nurses today.
Wow, that was a great reflection. I I see that the generation today is different in that I think when I was coming up, I had an opportunity to see. My mom happened to be a nurse, and she's from Jamaica, so there was a very much a nurturing of community. So I watched my mom take care of her mom. I don't think that this generation has the same. They're not baked in the same experiences, and
Right,
so there's
right.
more that a nurse educator has to I think teach. I think that the generation today doesn't see nurturing. A lot of people have their loved ones or elderly maybe in nursing homes and they don't visit very often. So I think when a nurse realizes that she wants to care for other people, then learns how to do it, it becomes it just becomes right. Like she realizes or he realizes that this is what I want to do is make other people's lives better. We're not
Mhm,
necessarily the most popular, profession. I think there's a lot of kids that want to be rich in money, and then when they get that and they realize they're not satisfied or they don't have any positive contribution, they realize that's not
mhm,
why I'm on this planet. And so, nursing is a
mhm.
profession that's consistent, that we don't have a PR team behind us. I don't think there's a lot of young people trying to break down the doors and say, "Oh, I want to become a nurse." But
Yeah,
when you get in it and you realize how much of a contribution you can be to people's lives, I think that changes everything. And then
yeah.
there's people that try to get into it for the money, and I think that's a bad decision as well, because it's if you're in it for the money only, you're not gonna you're not gonna be satisfied.
Wow. Yeah, Avalon has we've had those conversations about, people that enter the profession for the wrong
Mhm.
reasons,
Yes.
and it's almost like you can see straight through them.
You can, and I think the patient can feel when someone's not taking care of them for the right reason. And I think one of the part of the nursing is assessment, and the generation that we're taking care of now is totally different than maybe what we came through. So
Mhm,
there's a lot that we have to adapt to in recognizing that people after the pandemic, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of dis-ease, like nurses feel
mm,
dis-eases, and when people don't realize it, we can become the point of I can't fight the cancer, but I can fight my nurse, or the family's like I can't change what's going on with my loved one, but I can fight the nurse. And so we have to understand what our patients are going through and how can we become a partner in their healing. So,
Mm-hmm. Is
we
this
lost.
your first? Is this your first book that you've written or contributed to?
No, I actually had the opportunity to come on here and talk about my first book, which was Beyond the Spectrum, which is
Yeah.
about autism and how healthcare providers and how parents, just a perspective on how we can better be educated and informed so that we can care better for our people that are not neurotypical.
Neurotypical. I like that term.
Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Avalon.
Hey, Avalon, we lost you.
Yeah, her.
Get unstable. Yes.
Okay.
So where do
But
you? I don't know if you see the future of nursing going.
where do I see the future of nursing? I think it's almost like the future of funeral directors, right? People are not going to
Oh,
stop dying and they're not going to
right.
stop getting sick. I see the future of nursing is adapting to recognizing that there's not enough money, because healthcare has kind of gotten into this place where, oh, they're really smart people in healthcare and they figured out how to make money. That doesn't make people well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think nurses have just, if we just stay with our foundation, right, helping people to be their best person and not advocating necessarily for more procedures or things that people don't need, but advocating for having people have optimal health, then we'll be fine because we've always been there. Like we've always realized that you can take a walk and exercise. You can do more for your depression than some of the heavy duty antidepressants that individuals are taking. So we take a holistic approach to people, and I think the future is just continuing to do that and recognizing that there's new stressors for people. I think the dopamine that people are getting from their cell phones and screens and children that are raised on screen times, that's a whole different stressor than what we may have been used to, but it's still a stressor that is impacting that person. And so how do we return that person to living their best life? And I love that the nursing process always requires that we assess, that we understand before we treat. And so I think the future of nursing is going to be based on the foundation, which is to continue. You don't implement something until you understand, what is it, what's going on with it, how is it impacting this patient, and what do they want. I think patients' participation in their care is what nurses do. I think that we can have a very paternalistic healthcare system where people want to know, oh, what should I do? But we want to know, what does the patient want to do? What's your goal? So I think it's
Mm-mm.
going to be solid nursing process, just different. We have different inputs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that.
I mean, what
Mm-hmm.
like I'm retired now, but I'm reading about so many nurses saying they're leaving the field. Do you think
Hmm.
that's gonna have a big impact on patient care, or more nurses is coming in than more nurses leaving?
I think it's going to. I don't know. When I got into nursing, it was a huge nursing shortage, and I remember I went with a friend to an interview at the hospital, and they were like, "You have a nursing license? Can you start tonight?" It was like the shortage was so severe. I think that just continues to cycle. Like people leave and people come. I think and Dr. Angie and I were talking when you were out, just that some people are entering nursing for the wrong reasons. They're like, "Oh my God, y'all make a great salary," and they're walking in trying to just say, "I'm going to make a lot of money." And if that's why you're coming, I watched so many nurses leave in 2020 that were like, "I didn't sign up for this," and then I watched others that were
Yeah,
literally just out of nursing school that
the
were
passion isn't there used to
right
be.
because they're not there for the right reasons. I think nursing is not just a profession; it is a calling. I think it is a purpose. I think if the nurses who are in it understand why they're in it and find the place where they're supposed to most contribute, they're the most happy. Even if the work is horrible, even if the patients are not nice, if you know you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're just there because you want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
there looking for the profession to feed you or to give you, I don't know, something that it can't, then you're not in the right place. And I will always encourage an unhappy nurse to find your happiness, because I don't believe that God wants us to be unhappy and, going through life not. We lost Avalon, but I
Yeah.
just think that it's really important to understand your why. And I think
Oh, yes.
nurses, current nurses, need
Yeah.
to understand their why and be solid about it, so that when
Mhm.
you're coming to, patient care, is case management the right place for me? Is pediatrics the right place for me? Is psychiatric nursing the right place for me? Like, there's so many places where you can contribute as a nurse, but you got to know, if
Mm.
you're in the wrong place, the patients aren't going to be good and you're not going to be good.
Mm. Mm.
So
I hadn't even thought about it that way. You've got
Yeah.
so many choices.
And I yeah.
I couldn't hear you, Avalon. Say it again.
I said, I understand that because I think the last 3 years of my nursing career was not where I was supposed to be. I just
You
kind of
know
knew
it.
I was on my way out. I've always
Yeah.
felt like a clinical nurse.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
went into infection control, and that really wasn't my
Yours.
area of expertise,
Right. Right.
And yeah, I didn't stay in that area. I mean, I was in the hospital for 18 years, then I was in dialysis for 20 years. But infection control, I realized that just really wasn't my area
Yeah.
to be in. And the things that I dealt with my manager, just like, but
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, I realized, okay, this is not really my area of I mean, I
You
was
know.
certified in med surge and then, being a charge nurse and dialysis, a clinical manager, and then going into infection control,
Yeah.
I realized that like it wasn't a lot for me to contribute as a nurse.
Mm.
I
That's
mean, if you could understand. It
I do.
wasn't.
I do. And I've looked at different areas that I've been in, and I think some areas are for a season, for you to learn
Mm.
something that you need to learn. I think that, I did my
Yeah,
med surge. I came right out of school, did med surge. You learn how to be organized because you got a lot of things to do with a lot of patients, right? I went
yeah,
into
yeah,
the ED terrified, right? You learn what what matters most. ABC, is the patient's airway open? Are they breathing?
yeah.
Do they have circulation? You kind of learn that you got to I learned that I have to prioritize, and not everything is important. You could have a fresh crew of medical students, orthopedics, and they're running to the leg to fix that fracture, and you're like, hello, the patient is not breathing. That leg will be beautiful, but if he's not living you gotta, so you learn sort of what are the priorities in life. I went
Like, yeah,
out of the ED, went to ICU. So I had seasons. Like, I don't think I was
it's
supposed to be an
true.
ED
It's
nurse
true.
forever. An ICU nurse, I definitely learned, how do you manage multiple systems on one patient and bring them to
Mm.
a better level of care so that you can, basically transfer them. That was the goal. ER was like to get them upstairs. Um, ICU was to get them solid and stable, survive on a med surge floor. So I think there's lots of seasons and in our
Why?
careers, at least in mine. And yet there are some nurses. They're a phenomenal pediatric nurse, and they're a pediatric nurse for 40 years, and they're amazing. They have found their niche. For me, it was, I have to be me. I have to do what God brought me here to do. So I think every single, because I was in safety. Avalon and I were in the same department, and that was definitely a season. I saw more horrible things, like, everything bad that happened in the hospital came through my department. And it
Oh,
was,
no.
gives you, well, because you have to know that bad things happen, right? But you have to also realize that as an organization, how do we make sure that this doesn't happen to somebody else? So you've got to
Mm.
be very intentional about finding it and making it easy for people to report it, because you don't want an organization where somebody won't come and tell you what's going on early, because you'd want to know that near miss where something almost got cut off that shouldn't, so that you can figure out, okay, what happened. But I was in that department for 3 years, and I
Right,
thought I would get clinically depressed. Transferred out to
right.
a whole non-nursing department. And that's when I realized that, we as nurses, we can take care of multiple different types of systems. And so bringing my nursing perspective to human experience and to population health, I learned that the reason why some areas are dysfunctional is because they don't understand um, lots of health issues. And so I felt, valued, and I felt like I could really contribute. So
Mm-hmm.
if there's seasons, definitely seasons, and things that I learned in different areas.
Yeah, because my first GIGU post-op floor. So I was like
Yeah.
busy, going, running.
Yes.
And that this was busy like that too. I mean, you're dealing with the patients in different systems. Then I hit infection control, and all I'm doing is reading papers, and not really being,
Yeah.
not
But what you
really,
were doing in infection control.
yeah. And so then you need, like you said, you need a leader that's supportive. And my leader wasn't supportive of
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Just kind of made the job boring.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
anything I had just got slashed down. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, what am I
Leadership
doing?
matters. It definitely matters.
Retire.
And yeah.
Retire. Go ahead and retire because this is not working.
Well, it's just a different
But
season. Like now you're bringing nurses together in a whole different way.
in an area where you're constantly badgered by the leadership, it's like, you're just gonna be like coming to work and just coming to work.
Mm.
You're not really, because your hands are tied. I mean, Lois knew my leader, so she kind of have an idea what I'm talking about. But yeah,
I do.
I like to hands on. I want to be moving, but I got old. What can I say? Now I'm 69. I got old. Time to rest.
Well, rest or contribute in a different way. I think that what you're
I
doing, bringing
feel like
nurses together, getting
yeah,
a sustainable voice. And so, these things will be able to be read way after all of us are gone. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the perspective and the words that we have to say to young nurses are important. So you're just doing a different, it's a different season for you, but still
the
contributing.
nursing guide, how to be that nurse, how to be a charge nurse, how to be a clinical manager. I'm putting out those different guides in a series. So
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, somebody will read them somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
you know,
And they're
yeah,
wise. I think there's a lot of people don't realize because oftentimes we take a good nurse and we say, "Oh, be the manager." That's a whole different set of skills, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
when they don't survive or people don't like they think they're there for people to like them or they don't know how to communicate with people
right.
properly. They get in their feelings or they don't manage their emotions. Then it's not successful, and then it's like, oh, they weren't a good manager, or they leave the profession. I know when I
And
did
that's
staffing.
yeah, and I think every manager, if you're going to be a manager, you can't just stick people in a position because they have years of nursing. They need training. Like when I became a clinical manager, they sent us to Boston for a whole week to do 8 to 4 training, 5 days for the week. They didn't just
Yeah,
stick. I didn't just get stuck in a position because I had nursing experience. I
right.
was taught how to be a manager, and that's
That's
some of the
important.
problems. Like I see a lot of stuff on LinkedIn when nurses are talking about their managers, is because some of them are just stuck in the position because they need a body. They need a body in that
Right.
position, and they put
Yeah,
people
they're
in there.
desperate.
Not people. They're not people persons, and so you end up running the good nurses away. Oh,
No, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of bad leadership out there. But I tell,
Mm-hmm.
nurses, we get to also manage up, right? I think that sometimes people feel like they don't have the power or the voice, but conversations and relationships are two-way streets. So it's the worst thing that can happen in healthcare is that we shut down and we stop advocating for our patient or advocating for each other because then people die. That housekeeper that won't speak up because that room wasn't cleaned. Patient has perfect surgery, goes in there and gets an infection and dies. It's because it wasn't safe, for them to feel like, oh, I need to let them know that room wasn't cleaned. Or
Wow.
communication is huge. And I think that learning how to respect each other's contribution is huge. But you've got to learn that other people's opinion of you don't define you, that you're
Right.
still
Right.
going to do the right thing. I've been fired from jobs because I did the right thing, and I would do it again rather
Right.
than stay there and watch an injustice happen. Do you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So you just have to kind of trust. I trust God because I feel like if I'm not
Mhm.
supposed to be here, I'm not supposed to be here. So
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's true.
Right.
Times I got written up during my career for speaking up, even though I never signed the write ups. But I still spoke up, and that was, that's an issue. If a lot of times when you speak up,
yeah,
you get as the problem person, but you're speaking up
Mhm.
on the right thing
you can.
going on.
You can.
Mhm.
And that's part of the training too, right? Part of teaching nurses how to cuss, how to use words like I'm concerned, I
Right.
right how to this is a safety issue. I am uncomfortable, and then
Right.
those words, kind of trigger, oh wait, let's step back, because the challenger crashed because someone didn't speak up, right? Someone didn't feel comfortable in a room with the president of the United States to say, you know what, those O-rings, they've never been tested at this temperature. I don't know if they're going to work. We should stop. We should just double check. And he didn't
Right.
say that, and all those people in that vessel died because of
Ooh.
a culture. So
Right.
I'm always, and it still happens. I'm going to tell you, Avalon, people are shut down when they speak up because they feel like, oh, somebody's making me look bad. And it's like, you know what, we have to get over ourselves, because at the end of the day, a safety culture is each person, feeling safe
Right.
in.
Right. Right.
So,
Each I always think of the medical profession and nursing as like a team. They all have to work together, and
mhm.
you just kind of confirm that in my mind,
Yeah,
that the communication is essential.
it is. And sometimes groups of people, they don't operate as a team, right? Because we can have hierarchies. We're like, oh, that's the surgeon, or that's the administrator, or that's the housekeeper. People need to like flip that. If we don't each do our job, then that patient could die. And
Mhm.
so we need to respect each other. I have nurses that work on a floor years and years and years, have no idea the housekeeper's name. Why? What does that say? That speaks volumes.
Right.
She's been working with you for years. You don't know her name. She's a human being who is helping you as a part of the team. And
Right.
we don't even think it's work. Like, we have people who walk by each other in the hallway, and just don't speak. It's like, you don't see the humanity in me. You don't see I
That's
don't see
true.
the humanity. It is true. And that's
Right.
something that we have to work on
Yeah.
every day,
I,
building respect. Yeah. That's
that's
part of
true.
leadership, right? Is trying to foster the respect. Because a lot of times your team members don't know how to communicate with each other. And they might
Mm.
have very good intentions, but they don't know how to own their own feelings. So you'll hear things like, oh, she gets on my nerves. That's a you problem. That's not a her problem.
Right.
It's like, and leaders, they're like, okay, well, let me just separate them. You can't separate everybody. At some point, you got to get people together and say, okay, what did she do? Oh, well, she slammed the door, or she came in the break room and doesn't speak. So she thinks we have this conversation about what we think other people are thinking that we might be thinking. And it's just, what? It's what happened. She walked in the break room and did not speak. That's a is or it isn't. How did you feel about that? Well,
Wow.
she
Yeah.
thinks she's better than me, and blah blah. We go into this whole conversation in our head that has nothing to do. She might have been distracted. Her mom might be sick. You don't know what people are going through, why they walked in the break room and didn't say anything. So now you have to say, what do you need? We're colleagues. I can have a conversation with you and say, Angie, when you walked in the break room, I didn't hear you say anything. I felt ignored. I own that, right? What I need is, when we're colleagues, when we see each other, that we speak. And I'm requesting that when we see each other for the first time in the shift, that we speak, that we say something to each other. That's
Right.
a grown person's conversation. Not a
Right.
whole, oh, she walks in the break room, so I'm going to walk out. Now we have all this energy around something that wasn't real.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
that's part of leadership, trying to get people to understand, communicate a need, make a request, own your feelings, deal
And
with
it's
facts.
true.
Communicate a need. Own your feelings. Wow.
And you have to be equal across the board. You can't give your friend more leeway than the other nurse. How does that make the other staff feel?
It's human nature, right? It's absolutely human nature. I feel very comfortable having this conversation with you all, right? You look like me, it's a comfortable space. Some people get uncomfortable around people that they're uncomfortable with. And so
Right.
they act different. And we have to recognize, like, we worked at University Hospital. There's probably, I don't know, 50, 60 different cultures of people. And we've got to recognize that
Yeah.
your culture is not my culture.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I had a big conflict because one of my team members, well, she was in a different department, and she was like, oh, they she's that nurse is intentionally calling me by the wrong pronoun. Now that nurse was Filipino, and in the Filipino culture, they don't have pronouns. There's no he, she. It's, I don't know, it's generic. I don't know the language, but I know that there's no pronouns. Nothing that translates to he or she in Filipino. So when they were speaking to each other, the person did use the wrong pronoun. But the person took that like, oh, they're just trying to minimize me and say that I'm not an important, like they went all into their feelings without
Yeah.
understanding that that person just doesn't know the word, or didn't use the words correctly, and is not trying to harm me. So
Wow.
there's a lot of that happens in life, and
Wow.
it's getting to understanding. The Bible says, in all you're getting, get
Get
understanding.
understanding. Get an understanding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That-
It is
Yeah.
incredible. Incredible. Well, I think we've got a couple of questions that came in through text, and we'll get to that. I want to let our audience know, if you have a question for Dr. Green or Avalon or myself, you can text it to 407-914-6519. That's 407-914-6519. I got just a couple of quick videos I need to play, and then we'll be right back with more of Books and Besties.
Hi, this is Author Avalon S Brown. I am the visionary of this project. Recently, I've been speaking to different nurses who have been expressing and voicing their challenges and their frustration while working in the field. So I decided to reach out to different nurses from different specialties and bring them together to create a book so that they can write about their experiences, their challenges, their frustrations that they experienced in nursing and how they overcame them and why those challenges did not make them quit. This is going to be a very important book for the next generation of nurses, because they can see that they are not alone out there. The nurses before you have gone through these same type of challenges, these same frustration, but they never allowed it to make them quit, because nursing is their passion. And this is what we want you to know. Keep your passion. Never let them make you quit.
Audiobook produced and promoted by Angie BEE Productions. I've had wives and I've had friends. An anthology for women written by the men we are trying to love. Gentlemen, you are cordially invited to become an author by sharing your thoughts and experiences in our anthology. Tell us about your love for sports. Tell us about your love for grooming. Tell us about your love for gaming. Tell us what you want us to know. Submit your bio, headshot, and your story, along with the submission fee of $250. Send it to Author Avalon Brown 165 at yahoo.com, or you may send your info to Angie BEE Presents at gmail.com. An anthology for women written by the men we are trying to love. I've had wives and I've had friends. Brought to you by Author Avalon S. Brown and me, the Queen Bee, Dr. Angie BEE. Yep, that's the new book project that Avalon and I are working on. So if you are a man or you have an experience from a man in your life, just get in touch with us and we can talk to you about being in our next book project. Okay? Excited, so excited. This is wonderful. This new book that Avalon has published. It's well, let me bring her back in. Avalon, I just want to tell you, I'm so proud of you for this book project. This one really, I mean, I know you've done some other ones, but this one really seems like it's something that nurses will need to have.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna bring Dr. Green back in.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, our first question is, how can you be a doctor and an RN at the same time?
That's a great question. So, you can get a doctorate in many, many things. And my doctorate is in health administration. The doctoral degree is just the highest level of whatever you're studying. And so there's doctors of nurses that are called DNPs. There are doctors of health administrations, which is what I am, DHA. There are medical doctors. There are doctors of education. So that is that was my journey. I did a master's in business administration because healthcare is definitely a business. My bachelor's of science is in nursing, and then I did a doctorate in health administration. So I'm very proudly a doctor nurse.
That is cool. That is cool. All right, Avalon, your turn. What questions do you have for your co-author?
What questions? I've been asking her, but now you wrote something about what changes need to happen in nursing education.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I see a lot of sort of a movement. I think 2020 sort of moved the training of nurses to a simulation sort of experience. And I would just encourage us to not totally do that, because I've taken a lot of different simulation experiences, and there is nothing like walking into a room of a sick patient with your preceptor to identify, what's going on. I think that nurse educators get to move closer to the bedside and closer to patients, so that they can be models for their students. I think that nursing education is it's challenging, and I was a little disappointed during 2020 because the medical students were in the hospital, the nursing students were not, and I felt like that was a challenge and really driven based on the nurse educators, because they didn't want to come into the hospital. I think it's really, really challenging when your medical counterparts are coming into the fire and we weren't as nurses. So I just feel like nursing education needs to get more granular and more alongside the patient, as well as embracing the technology. I think that there's a lot that's going on in the world with AI and things that really can enhance health for our patients that we need to, as nurses, sort of embrace and optimize. We take care of patients that speak many different languages. There's a way that you can, have your healthcare information translated into the language the patient understands. We take care of patients with many different grade levels. You can take your operative report and put it in an AI and put it in a language that the patient understands. And then the patient can interact and ask questions sort of just basic questions, and it can be interactive. So there's a lot. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I definitely feel like this is an era where patients can be more empowered to be healthier, as opposed to just listening to what somebody learns. And we have to embrace that. There's a lot of knowledge out there, a lot.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. Well, we've got another co-author that has arrived. Author Shantae Lennon is here, and so we're going to bring her in. Welcome to Books and Besties, dear.
Hi,
Welcome to Books
Shanti.
and Besties.
Hello, hello, nurses. Hello, Dr. B. How's everybody doing?
We're well.
Good.
Well, nice
Good,
to
good to
meet
see
you.
you all. Good to see you all. Thank you for having me.
Tell
I
me, tell me about your experience writing your chapter for this book.
Oh, wow. So, thank you to author Avalon Brown for allowing me this wonderful opportunity. It has been a whirlwind of a blessing to actually get to share my story or some of it in how being a nurse educator contributes to healthcare today. Simply because I started out in healthcare at age 19.
Mm,
So outside of working in McDonald's at the fry station, I don't know anything else. I started out as a CNA for 11 years before I ever became a nurse. And just getting to see the evolution of nursing, as I was listening to Dr. Green say, and how it has progressed so much, and being a part of that story is absolutely amazing. So I'm really, really excited to share my experiences and what it's like to work with nurses today versus when I was 19 years old. Big,
mm.
big, big difference.
Now,
Wow.
Author Jane actually works in the nursing school at the where the nurses begin at.
Mhm. Yes, yes, indeed. So, just to give a comparison, when I did a nursing care plan, I had a book, a notebook, and a typewriter.
Oh my goodness.
There was no Google, there was no AI, there was none of that. And I mean, we did our diligence. I never wrote so fast in my life for 4-hour classes, writing notes. And then we would sometimes share notes and type them up. And when we were typing them up, we were studying them on our typewriter. And it was literally click, 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 click. And you literally learn to be a nurse one click at a time. And now you can go on to so many systems, and you can literally learn all kinds of things about healthcare so easy. Some of the things that I enjoy hanging out on are nurse labs, Pinterest. You can see next gen on YouTube, all
Mm.
kinds of different things that you can look up, that we had to read the chapters, highlight the boxes, write the notes, and all of those wonderful things. And now I can click on Pinterest and get a cheat sheet and review things myself. And it's just amazing to see how healthcare has evolved. Hmm.
That is amazing.
Hmm.
Now you're still an educator, correct?
Hmm. Yes, I taught several years ago when I came out with my MSN in 2013, and all of my education is strictly nursing outside of my divinity degrees. And so I didn't do business or anything like that. I'm just like completely healthcare. So when the nursing students get me, they get a vast variety of nursing, because when I graduated as a nurse in 2003, I decided that for the first 5 years of my career, I wanted to learn as many facets of the profession as possible. I knew that I wouldn't be one nurse that stayed in the same place for 20 years. And so, my first 3 years, I did coronary care ICU and took care of cardiac patients. And then I didn't actually learn med surge until my third year of nursing when I started travel nursing. And in that, I also worked as a director and did some home health, and then also stayed true to my first love, which is gerontology, and worked in the nursing homes as a clinical supervisor, PRN. So when the students get me as a nursing instructor, they get a vast variety of education and skill set.
Wow.
And I encourage that for any new nurses to come out to explore different avenues. It used to be where if you didn't stay in the same place, it was a taboo. But honestly, today, to move around is really good because it will advance your knowledge as
Oh,
a
wow.
be able to work in different fields and have some background in different fields. It gives you a rich background in the profession. Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Type of things
Incredible.
like PRN.
Incredible.
While I had the full-time job, I would do home care, or I would work in like the substitute school nurse, like in the specialty areas. Like I was working as a PRN school nurse for the school was all ADHD kids. So, or I would go to the cerebral palsy schools. So, I mean, like I did those type of things per diem. Always had like a second job, but I kept the full time job and explored other areas per diem.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Yes, yes.
That's one of the beauty of our
Yes,
professions. It's
that's one of
Absolutely.
the beauty of our profession.
We can rock a side hustle.
yes.
Yes. Okay, next question. Next question. Actually, I think we're going to take a quick commercial break. We got an echo coming. So let me see if I can fix that. We'll be right back with more books and besties.
Wake up and turn your Saturday all the way up with Mornings with Angie BEE. Every Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. Angie BEE is bringing you the hottest and newest Christian hip-hop music with a message, beats that bless, and vibes that lift your spirit. Whether you're getting ready for the day or cruising through the weekend, Angie BEE's got your soundtrack, faith, fire, and flavor. Don't miss Mornings with the Queen Angie BEE every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on City Worship Radio.
Living with anxiety and depression can feel like you're drowning. Come join a tribe that will help you press through parenthood and life. maternalmattersfavored.org, mmfavored.org. In a world full of noise, our stories whisper truth. Stories of faith, hope, and redemption made to uplift your spirit and stir your soul. Featuring award-winning films, Walking in the Spirit. If not for the Lord, where would I be? Delicious. And the live stage play, It Ain't Over Till God Says Over. And now, the newest film added to the streaming platform, The Signature, in collaboration with Jean Louise and James Burke. Download, rent, or stream our films at www.sisterbattenfilms.com. We are excited to bring you a vast assortment of products, services, and opportunities. So if you've got an upcoming event, you've got a book, you've got a project that means the world to you, just get in touch with us so we can showcase it here on Books and Besties. The number is 407-914-6519. And you can also use my email address, Evangelist Angie BEE, that's BEE, Evangelist Angie BEE at gmail.com, and we'll get it together for you. Okay, let's see if we got the audio working.
Get it together for you. Okay.
Avalon,
Working.
we got an echo still. I'm trying to see if it's going.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Lois.
Okay,
And,
Dr. Lois. And
yep. We still got an echo.
We still got an echo. I don't know what it is.
Let me see. Okay, Avalon, I'm going to let you.
Okay, Avalon, I'm going to let you.
I'm going to go out for a minute.
I'm going to go out for a minute. And I'll be back.
Okay.
So I'm
Still
gonna
there.
ask
Still there.
Jane to give us her insight on. Can you hear me?
It's very faint.
Can you hear me, Shane?
Hello.
It's very faint.
So I want to ask you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Shantane?
Barely.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Barely.
Okay. So I want you to answer how you deal with a nurse that feels like they don't belong to the profession.
So one of the things that you will find in nursing is it does take time to build confidence.
It does take time to build confidence.
I would say when you're educating nurses, mentoring, allowing the nurse to grow in small steps. One of the ways to do that is to give them a little bit of a challenge. You don't want to make things too easy for the nurses because they want skills. But then you don't want to make it too hard. And as they do things, teaching you starting IV. When you start that IV, and feedback, it's pretty amazing feeling that you prepared that student. And the nurses feel their skill set. So building confidence, critical thinking, inspiration, help them to feel more comfortable in your profession.
Okay. So what challenges as a nurse educator teaching the students do you see the nurses having? The students having?
One of the challenges that I would say is transitioning into the profession of acute care. It's one thing to care for a family member. It might be one person versus one person to acute care, and you have multiple people that you're responsible for, and then learning how to navigate by prioritization, assessment, interventions, and doing the work to create the best outcomes for the patient. So it can be a bit challenging to learn, but most of the time the nurses, through experience, and decide what do I need to do first, and then prioritize their day throughout the day.
Do we need to go into settings?
Is it me? Can you hear me?
Echo cancellation.
Is it me? Hello? Let's see.
In audio.
Ladies, we still have an echo. I'm going to ask each of you if you would go out and come back in. That may clear things up a little bit. Avalon, go out and come back in, and we'll see if that helps. All right, and while we're doing that, it is time for the necessity of editing. This is a video that shows the importance of having your book, your writings, everything you do should be looked over and edited. And so we're going to play this quick video, and hopefully by the time we get back, the echo will be gone. This is the necessity of editing on Books and Besties.
The necessity of editing. Hello, my name is Sonia, and I am a professional content editor. The difference between a proofreader and a content editor, as I have just recently learned, is care. A proofreader, though still respecting the boundaries of punctuation, which are very important, often will not clean up the statements that you have looped together and presented as a periodical. A content editor will read, proofread, punctuate, and clean up your content as necessary. Both are crucial, especially if you are nervous about your English skills. Today, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the necessity of editing. I am the type of person that catches the error before seeing the content. One of my biggest gripes is seeing an error on an obituary. What? Oh my goodness, these are the last words that anyone will ever read about you. Even in grief, spell check still works. I encourage you, write your own final words if you believe that your loved ones will leave grammatical and spelling errors unchecked, but I digress. In this time of artificial intelligence, I have found that our God-given intelligence has disappeared. Grammarly, ChatGPT, and those electronic assistants are convenient as a starter, kind of like a recipe for a dish. However, just like a good cook goes back and ensures they have included everything and even enhances that recipe, a great author still needs to go back over their work and finalize before completion. If you do not want to do that, I implore you to hire someone that will. A fresh eye makes a world of difference. The written word often shapes a picture of the author by the reader. When synonyms are used interchangeably, adverbs are tossed about incorrectly, and punctuation is just doing its own thing, an avid reader will lose interest in the plot and grow tired of making corrections in their head. Some authors happily pay a photographer or even an artist twice as much as the book is being sold for, just to ensure that their headshot catches the eye of the reader. However, their lack of having a second eye proofread and edit their liturgical baby leaves the reader of your masterpiece distracted and missing the point of the story. I will never forget mourning a grandparent. These arrangements of hers were taken over by a distant relative who was believed to be capable of handling this huge responsibility of presenting this decades-old life in a single 5x7 page. The misspellings of names, cities, and even occupations brought new tears to my eyes. Not only were some of these facts able to be easily researched, but the lack of care and concern before this final complimentary life story went to print was appalling. The necessity of editing is clear. I equate reading a book to watching a movie. However, you're able to place it on hold with a bookmark versus a streaming remote. Unlike a movie, the pause is controlled by your reader, not by the electronic device that allots you a full 3 minutes to pause your television stream, then return to the last spot that you were watching. A reader has the opportunity to turn the page or close the chapter, both literally and figuratively. No one wants to wade through a run-on yap session on a paper that left a dangling participle leading into a paragraph that begins, "The nectar day." What? Whose nectar? What day? Just like that, you've lost the attention of your reader. Sure, they may come back only to run into a new scenario that begins with two people speaking without proper identification, properly identified punctuation, and then this turns your reader's moment in time mental escape into a deep pondering chore, i.e., work. The AI assistants care nothing about punctuation. Their job is to lay out their opinion of what you'd like to hear and read, and your plight is to build on it while an editor's delight is to clean it up for the reader. The joy of a content editor is to take your raw thoughts, words, and emotion from babble to brilliance, from wondering to wonderful, from an unfinished read to a page-turning pleasure. Friends and family are excited that you have decided to delve into this new chapter, pun intended, of your life. So criticism about your incorrect usage of your versus your won't be shared with you. However, your audiobook narrator will find themselves starting over and over again, potentially losing that new reader joy that's expressed in their voice. It's gone, and so is the listening. In conclusion, nurture your book as one would anything born from their loins. Create, spell check, give it to your hired content editor. The passing of your book from your eyes to proofer eyes will correct your missings and enhance your musings. I personally care enough to make you sound your very best. I am Angie BEE, and I approve this message.
That was the necessity of editing, and I am excited to bring different tips to people that are interested in becoming authors, like Avalon and I are authors. So just kind of keep in mind anything you're working on, whether it be a chapter for an anthology or your brand new book, it's going to need some editing. That's it. All right, bringing back Avalon. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hanging in there.
Yep, that's good. Okay, we're going to bring in Dr. Green. Let's see how you
And
doing.
that worked. That worked. That was a great
Okay,
editing.
and then we got Shantae. Come on in. Let's see.
Hello.
Yep.
Oh, that's perfect. The
We're
echo is
back in
gone.
business.
That's good. That's good. Okay, Shantae, have you ever witnessed any situations where new nurses felt unsupported or bullied?
Yes, absolutely. I will venture to say myself.
Oh, goodness.
I will venture to say myself. And I actually just told this story yesterday. I worked as a nursing assistant, like I said, for 11 years. And I worked in a nursing home. And I absolutely loved my patients. It's a community, and in the rehabilitation environment, you're in their house. So you become family. And my goal as a new nurse was to be a director of a gerontology facility because I like gerontology. So I wanted to work with the elderly. But when I graduated nursing school, I was told that I would have to leave out of the facility that I worked in once I got my RN license, and that transitioned me into acute healthcare. So I had no background in the hospital setting or acute healthcare at all, because all I knew was my patients in the nursing home, and so I had to learn a lot of things really, really fast. So you will run into sometimes situations where you might be, like I heard Dr. Green, I was listening to some of her interview, hierarchy in nursing, and there is a hierarchy. So if you've been in a facility where you've been 11 years, the tech, right, or the nursing assistant, and then boom, you graduate and now you're the RN, and then that environment would put you as a supervisor, right? So then you would have to, face your colleagues that are like, that CNA is not going to be my supervisor. Well, no, I'm no longer a CNA. I'm a registered nurse. So, the game changes. And so then you have to, navigate how do you address that? So another thing is typically at that time, 20 years ago, you wouldn't see a whole lot of RNs in the facilities. It would be primarily CNAs and LPNs. Most of the RNs were in the acute care settings. So it wasn't a lot of job options either. So that made me have to transition into acute care. And then that's how I ended up going over into coronary care. And become an ICU nurse, essentially because that was where, as a student, I did my capstone. So that was a lot to chew on as a new graduate nurse. And I never looked back. And I've been acute care now for over 20 years, and I love it. And I guess that was part of, God's plan for my career. Yeah.
So we got a question for both of you. Dr. Green, let me give it to you first. What advice would you give to a new nurse, especially one that's questioning whether or not they need to stay in the profession?
I have to say that author Shantane's experience was similarly my experience at 22. Right, going from being the nursing assistant to the charge nurse, and having to sort of manage that because, before it was, we're each answering the call lights and getting the bedpan, and now the nursing assistant, who at that point was 40 years older than I was like, yeah, well, you got it last week, why can't you get it this week? And it's like, having to have that conversation where it's like, I now have to we were mixing meds back then. I have to mix up these meds, so I need your help. And so it's really, that was a challenging moment. And you also mentioned how people are expecting the nurse to look a certain way. So I remember, we had our side hustle, and I do agency nurse at the hospital up the hill, and the doctor passing me to go to the Caucasian nursing assistant and say, oh, these are the orders I need taken in. And she had to point him back to me and say, you need to speak to the nurse. And so your conversation just brought all that back. But what I would say to the new nurse is, you need to know who you are. A lot of people get into the profession and it's sort of theoretical. I'm a nurse. We're nurses, but you also have to know, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your triggers? What are the things that upset you? I'm a solid ER nurse, but I remember going, a doctor, it was late one night, and the patient had been in the waiting room for 12 hours, maybe even more before my shift. They were waiting, and it was just something in ear. That was the chief complaint. So the doctor looked in the ear and was like, oh, I need this thing from the OR. Went, got it, came back. He pulled out a full size moving cockroach out of that person. Exactly. That was response at the bedside. Like, I don't do bugs. Like, things that are
Oh,
crawling and still are like, I have to realize I got to prepare myself. So we
oh,
had a conversation like, if that happens again, please let me know, because the nurse screaming in the middle of the emergency room is not appropriate,
oh
not
my
elegant,
goodness.
certainly not professional. But you got to know who you are, and
Mm.
I don't think that a lot of new nurses spend the time to understand what their strengths are. Know your weaknesses. You know, if med administration or math or whatever, you're going to double, triple check things. You're going to know that this is my isn't my strength, so I need to work on that. If um, conversations and interpersonal interactions are not your strength, you need to own that and know that. So there's
Mm.
a lot of time I think is spent in understanding oneself and understanding what you bring to the profession. So I would encourage new nurses to really get to know who you are.
Yes.
Ooh, yes. Who you are and what you can tolerate.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Correct.
Mhm. Yes.
So it was, yeah, it's a journey. And I think that's what I would also tell nurses, right? It's a journey, not a destination. You know,
Yes.
you don't get your RN license, pass your boards, and now you're, the nurse that you're going to be for the next 40 years. It is truly a journey, and to take
Mhm.
everything that happens as truly experience, because it's tough when you make mistake, when you get experience by making mistakes, but your mistakes can impact people's lives. But just to understand that it doesn't mean that you get out of the profession. It certainly means that you learn from that mistake and try to be a better nurse moving forward. I
Mhm.
think we know that you can't go through life and not make mistakes, but don't we've had people make a mistake and walk out of the profession, and that's not um,
Wow.
self-aware. We're going to make mistakes.
All
Yes.
right, Shantae, what advice do you have?
Um, I would say explore your options. Know that the beauty of the profession is you don't have to be stuck in one thing. Being multifaceted is a beautiful thing. So, when you are graduating as a new nurse, you may start out having to navigate just learning the basics of nursing, maybe in medical surgical or maybe in long term care. But at the same time, while you're doing that, begin to look at what other things am I interested in, right? Because a nurse can be a case manager in healthcare. We can be a social worker, and we can do APS, Adult Protective Services. We can work
Mm.
in different facets of nursing from ED, ICU, med surge, pediatric, psychiatric, mental health.
Wow.
Decide, are you a nurse that wants to be in acute care setting hands on with a patient, or do you think you would do better in an environment where you might not be hands on with a patient and you might want to work in an office setting? Because we also can do clinical documentation improvement, chart
Wow.
reviews, you see,
Wow. Yes, a
management
lot.
and directors. So it's a beautiful field to be in, and there's so many options. So you don't feel stuck. And so if a nurse is feeling like this is not working for me, and that does happen, then you explore how would you transition into another scope of the profession. And one of the best ways to do that is to get that BSN, get that baccalaureate in nursing, so that you have an educational background to move and navigate through other positions, so that you have your acute care experience, long-term experience, build that resume, and then also have the backing of the at least the baccalaureate degree, if not master's or doctoral.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I never thought of the field being that diverse until you
It's,
ran that list down.
Mhm.
That's a lot.
that ain't all of it, but the
That's a
direct
lot.
Dr. Green, the director, will be able to tell you that that's not all of the things that nurses can do, right?
No, not
Wow.
at all.
Wow.
And I would add to that is that a lot of times nurses feel like, their duty is to the profession, but one of the tenets in the code of ethics for nurses is that we have a moral duty to ourselves, right? As a
Mm.
person of inherent dignity and worth, right?
Mhm.
Including an expectation of a safe place, authenticity of self at work, self-respect through integrity and professional competence. And a lot of times we just think we're taking care of other people. We're taking care of other people. We have a moral duty to ourselves as well. So we've got to make sure that we can't take better care of other people than we're willing to take care of ourselves. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah, that is very true. Years ago, I went through a hospice training to be a volunteer, someone to go to the family and just to be with them. And during that training, we learned a lot about the hospice nurses, and so I do recognize that there is a variety for folks in the medical profession. I just hate to hear about people that want to leave the profession without exploring all their options. That's sad. That's sad to me. Mm-hmm.
great.
Avalon, I appreciate you for bringing all this information together in this one book. And these are just two of your co-authors. I bet you they could have written the whole book by themselves, Avalon. My God.
She makes us take the time. A lot of times we don't think about it, but it's a great vision. Important work.
It really is. And I if I may add, health and wellness in nursing, health and wellness is so vitally important. And just going back again to where I started and where we have evolved, we would do 8-hour shifts, 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. Is what we typically would work. And then that transitioned over to 12-hour shifts. And you could be 36 hours, 48 hours working. And then you may have children and a family, church home and other obligations. And that's a lot to navigate in a profession. And we have to navigate that in a way that we understand, don't chase the dollar. Don't chase the dollar. It's okay to cut back and take time off, request time off, and spend time with fresh air, sunshine, get to go walking. And like I said, for myself, I'll use as a lot of examples. My vitamin D level stayed low for a very long time. And I would have conversations and I had to take vitamin D. And what it was is, if you think about it, when I traveled, I would sleep. And then I would get in the car when I was ready for work. I'd drive to work. And then I would be in my facilities working for 12 hours. And then I would get off. I would get back into the car. And then I would drive back to wherever I was staying and go back to sleep. So at what point was I ever getting fresh air and sunshine? You see?
Yeah.
And so exhaustion, weight gain, vitamin deficiencies and imbalances are things that, health providers face. And so our time off is vitally, vitally important because you can't always just go outside. You got to get the job done. You got responsibilities. You got to take care of people. And so your time off, by all means, hit the beach. Yeah. Hit the park, throw on the sneakers, get out, drink the water, all of the things, because if not, your body is going to begin to speak to you that, hey, your hair is shedding, your skin doesn't have the beautiful color, you're tired all the time. And then when you go to the doctors, the labs are going to tell the story. Wow. You can go from being the nurse to being the patient.
Wow. I never understood why they made y'all work 12-hour shifts. What's the...
Actually, a lot of nurses want that. They like the time off. Like I know when I started doing it early in my...
You get those 4 days off.
Yeah, The yeah, and many months you can get 7 days off in a row, and you're
Mm.
not. Yeah, so it's a balance, but it is work, and we need to respect that because some nurses try to work the 12 hours, and do the school pickup and do so you're really shrinking your sleeping time to a very
Mm.
small amount, and that's when you're trying to burn the candle at both ends. You need enough rest to get back and work that 12-hour shift again.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
As an administrator, I'm working 512, so
I
I'm
guess it
envious.
worked good.
Uh,
It
Mhm, mhm.
the
I
12
used to love
shift
my
was good
48
for me
48.
in dialysis.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Nurses love their
it worked
flexibility.
good for me in dialysis because they didn't allow us days in a row.
Mm.
We had to work every other day. So the 12 hours worked good for me because they wouldn't let us do 3 days in a row. You couldn't work like that and have 4 days off. You had to work every other day.
Oh,
Mm.
we had these patterns. So every month, you know exactly what your day off is. You have 1 week during the month where you work the 3 days in a row, but every month you had 6 days off in a row, which was
Oh,
lovely.
nice.
Oh,
Oh,
very
that's
lovely.
Nice,
nice.
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yes.
Mhm. I enjoy doing 36 48
Oh,
or 48 48. But then
okay.
I had to learn, girl, you better slow down on chasing that dollar.
I know. Because that's the
'Cause
bad thing. You have all these time
48
off, then you book
48,
yourself.
yeah.
Mm. I got to give a shout out to Brother Anthony Franklin. He's watching the show today. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the love. Also, got to give a shout out to those on YouTube that are watching us, especially Jasmine. Thank you for for joining us today, being a part of the audience, and thank you for participating. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. I am just amazed by the amount of energy, education, knowledge, and wisdom that all three of you possess. It's just from a patient's point of view, it is amazing how much education you guys have and how you've been able to apply it not just in your own career but helping someone else with their career. I appreciate each of you. I really do. Mhm.
Thank you.
Some of it's
Mm.
selfish because we want to retire like Avalon one day, so we got to get these
Oh,
nurses ready.
yes. Yes. Just push that retirement button.
We need to bring up the troops behind us.
Mhm. And retire in good shape,
Exactly. Retire
not
well.
sick.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
is
Yes.
wonderful.
And
I think when you get to
just
a certain
enjoying the
point
outdoors.
in your career, you start checking that Social Security
I
website.
have a
How
question.
many points
I
you
have a
got?
question.
Hmm.
They give you a statement every 3 months anyway. But I have a question. Because for me, I know the nurses now do their notes on what do you call that rolling thing? So do you feel like what do you think? Like for me, I think I would have preferred to continue doing the writing than to do the check, 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 check. I think that takes more time than just writing out my notes and going home.
You know what? I think it's the generation. Um, we had a recent, like a downtime drill, and I did not realize how many professionals, not just nurses, like the doctors, have never handwritten notes.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I could go back to where, like you said, Avalon, you sit down, you write your notes, but this is not the generate like that. None of these generations, I don't know if it's X, Y, but they've never done it. And when we said, oh, you're going to use the downtime form, they were
I
like,
know. Yeah.
like it's like something they read about in history. They're like, we read about that, like that y'all used to write out notes, but they had no clue. So I think it's like the the horse and buggy. You know what I mean? Like, we're not giving up our automatic car to kind of go back. We're riding in the car.
Wow.
And I haven't done it yet, but I hear there's these automated Ubers that doesn't even have a person in them. That
Right.
it's,
Right.
it's
What's the
kind
name
of
of it?
keeping up with the times.
Waymo. Yeah.
Waymo, there you go. I've heard about
Waymo.
it.
Yep.
And hey, if I got to get somewhere, I might just jump in one. Although I'm like, I like to drive, but I also.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the times you keep moving forward, or
Yeah, I think it keeps them from going home on time for me. For the note, sitting there
really.
clicking and making sure all the boxes are clicked,
Oh, now
in
it's
order to keep
even
them from going home
easier.
on time. Yeah.
AI is helping doctors get their notes done faster, nurses get their notes done faster. So I think it's going in the direction where the notes are not going to be a barrier. And I'm hoping that it will allow more nurses to actually be at the bedside and give care. During the snowstorm, I actually, helped a patient and helped her with her bath and do her back, and she was like, "Who are you?" Like, the nurses don't have time to touch a patient. It's really sad, but hopefully
Mm.
it easier with the documentation will bring us back to that, the caring of our patients and looking
Mm.
at their mouths and their feet and things that really matter in when you're laying in a hospital bed. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My goodness. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing. And again, I'm from a patient's point of view. And but I tell you a quick story. When I read Avalon's first book, it was The Devil All Along. I remember, Avalon, you talked about the white uniform and the little white hat and the way the nurses, used to dress compared to the scrubs now. And I hear you, Dr. Green. It's like a whole new generation. Um, no, nobody's written. Nobody, they come in the nurses come in your room wheeling this big computer and laptop and taking everything in, and will barely lay hands on you.
yeah, yeah.
Will barely. I think the closest aspect of really just laying a hand on me is putting the blood pressure
Blood
cuff
pressure,
on me.
exactly.
That's it. So
Yeah.
there have been, a lot of changes I've seen as a patient from one generation to the next.
Yeah. And sometimes just getting someone to breathe and to relax, and even a short back rub can help them sleep better than every sleeping pill but it's not a part of the practice anymore. So
Wow.
um, hopefully we'll
Wow.
get back to the things that work,
Right.
the things that getting patients to relax, to understand how they're feeling. Like, there's a lot.
Hmm. And so another question, what changes do you think need to happen in nursing to better prepare them for modern day or this generation of healthcare?
Do you want to go first?
Oh no, doctor, by all
No?
means.
So I think the change is that nurses have to be adaptable. The
Mm.
information that I learned when I came out of nursing school is no longer valid and or accurate today,
Mm.
and I probably would not pass the boards using that knowledge from back then.
Wow.
So yeah, because things change. The amount of blood that you lose during a surgery years ago versus now, totally different. The people that we interact with, the things that we could do. I mixed my own drugs. Now it's actually illegal. If it's not a pharmacist dispensing the drug, that there's so much evolution. I think nurses need to be adaptable, stay evidence based, like really, really embrace why are we doing the things the way that we do it, and keep bringing this information. Nursing research and nursing information is so powerful because we're at the bedside more than any of the other providers, right? So we can bring a perspective. I think embracing learning and embracing how to be adaptable is key. Um,
Mm.
because nursing it's a skill, but it's an art and it's also a science. So we need to embrace the science and really embrace what works, um, and be continue to be advocates for our patients. But um, nursing education just has to adapt. I'd say.
Mm. Mm.
My question, just to get you to continue, Doctor, is do you feel like that BSN, having that baccalaureate in education and then going on to master's or doctoral where you get the research, really, really gives more of a well rounded nurse?
Absolutely. I think that a nurse at the bedside should be a doctorally prepared nurse. I just think that the each degree that you take, you understand it's not really about people like, oh, you got letters behind your name. No, you gain perspective on how you're looking at
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
So it could be something simple like I think it was a nurse that developed those caps that go on the ends of the IV so that patients don't get infections. Or there's so much nursing innovation that happens when you can bring a perspective or a curiosity. That's what I love about the higher. Like my terminal degree taught me how much you don't know because you learn so much about this one little aspect that you really have a healthy respect of just learning and recognizing that, wow, what why is the outcome, what impacts the outcome. I think a lot of the research around social determinants of health and realizing that 80% of how a patient is going to do when they leave the hospital has nothing to do with the care while they were in there. It has to do with, do they have transportation, do they have stable housing, do they, all of these social drivers that were never even asked at the bedside before. But now,
Mm.
if you want your patient to do well, you ask the questions that are going to help have a better outcome. And there's so
Mhm.
much, like I love, I'll tell you a story. So I was doing a talk recently. I've been a strong advocate for advanced directives, and where people say, what is it that you want at end of life? And I was doing the talk, and there was a nurse in there, and she was so frustrated. She's an ER nurse. She's like, by the time the patient gets to the hospital, that's too late to be having these conversations. That spurred something in me. So I wrote a proposal that when you get your driver's license renewed, you should be able to pick your proxy, work on your advance directive. That should be done at a point where there's no friction, right? We're
Mhm.
doing choosing, like if you want to do an organ, if you want to be an organ donor, when you renew your driver's license, you should also, pick who's my healthcare proxy and be able to fill that form out when you do your driver's license. God knows those lines are long enough. You have time. Fill it out then so that when you do, uh, unfortunately, end up in a hospital, people are not guessing what you want or what
Mhm.
you desire. So it was because of that
Mhm.
nurses just really moral distress over having to manage family members that are, oh, I want this and this one wants this. You haven't seen her in 20 years. Why are you even talking? There's so much, but nobody knows what the patient wants. But if we have that document, like, listen, y'all can fight outside. This is what Mary wants, and this is what we're going to respect and do. Makes it
Mhm.
for an easy conversation. So nurses
Mhm.
bring a lot, I would say. Um, the thing that bugs you, look into that. How do we fix it? Like having that perspective matters.
Mhm. Mhm. What do you think, Shantae?
I have to say, I absolutely agree with Dr. Green. And then probably today, the only way that we could, as a body, implement that is to go back to really, really focusing on nursing councils.
Mm. Shared decision
I
making.
remember years ago being on the nursing councils in the hospital where all the great minds would come together to see what we could do to reinforce and strengthen the profession and get best patient outcomes and all of the different discussions. It was wonderful. I don't know if we still have a whole
We
lot
do.
of that. But yeah, nursing councils were awesome. And that's where you would get Dr. Greens. You would have the directors and the leaders to come in with the associate nursing and baccalaureate and MSN. And we could gain that perspective and knowledge from the leadership. Yeah.
Absolutely. You
Mhm.
can't have a magnet organization without having shared decision making in nursing councils. So I'm very
Oh,
happy. We work. University Hospital does have a robust, and they are amazing. That's the thing I love. I think part of what hurts us is that we think, oh, the more degrees you get, the further away you should get from the bedside. And we need to change that perspective. You know, our patients deserve excellence at the bedside. And so
mm,
just realizing that there's space for us with advanced degrees in education, but there's also space for advanced degrees at the bedside and not looking down at that. You know, I think that's close.
amen. 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 Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. This has really been eye opening for me. Again, as from a patient's point of view, this is eye opening. And I pray that this information reaches others that will become knowledgeable of what nursing really is, and the love and commitment that is put into this profession. That's amazing, amazing. Listen, it's almost time for us to go. I'd love to get some contact information so that the viewers can reach out to you. Dr. Green, is there an email address or a website you want to give?
There is, I can give my email address. Should I put it? Is there a chat? Let's see.
Um, I I can
I can
change
post
it
it.
for you.
Okay.
Change your name and your headline. Okay, so what's your email address?
Lois V. Green,
LOIS,
V
the
is in Victor.
letter,
Hmm.
oh, the letter, okay, middle initial again?
Yes. B is in Victor.
Okay.
Green with an E at the end at Gmail.
Uh-huh.
And my
Okay.
website, which still needs some work, is Dr. Green RN.
Okay. Got it. Got it. All right, Shantae, your turn. What?
Oh, okay. So I'm going to try to drive this to nursing. So if you visit my website, shantainlennon.com, I do have nursing journals and manuals and things available for nurses. And I also have one book, You Can Be a Nurse Like Mia. And that book entails me become when I was a nursing assistant and my little story about how I became an RN.
Nice.
Mhm.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Got you both in there. Avalon, got any closing comments, dear?
No, I just want to thank my co-authors for showing up, and
Thank
they had
you.
a lot of insight for the public. I hope you go out and check out this book and see what other insights they have. There's five other authors. They couldn't make it, but thank you, two of you, for coming in, at least talking about this book, giving your insight on nursing. This was great. This was really great.
I'd love to see if
It
you're getting
really
this piece
was.
together in person, Avalon. That would be amazing. Love to see that.
I
Yeah,
was
we're gonna work on that.
During Nurses Week. Yeah, that would be great. Nurses Month, I should say.
I was going to ask
Oh,
if
yes.
possible, in honor of our wonderful book together, if I could read an excerpt, a short
Oh,
excerpt from the book
yeah.
in honor of all of the wonderful nurses and in honor of our visionary, Avalon Brown. And I was going to go to page 89, and it is a short poem, and it says, Scrubs, Strength, and a Little Sass.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
A poem for nurses. They said it was a job, but you know it's much more than that. It's early mornings, long nights, and courage tucked inside a pair of scrubs and a badge. It's walking into rooms where fear sits quietly beside the bed and bringing hope with steady hands and a voice that says, I'm here. We're going to take care of you today. You move through the hallways like a quiet force of strength, charting, assessing, listening, and catching the details others might miss. Your mind is science, your heart is compassion, and somewhere in between is the fierce determination that keeps you going when the shifts get long. You learn quickly that nursing is not for the faint at heart. It is not for the faint at heart. It asks for patience when things move slowly, speed when things move fast, and wisdom when the unexpected appears. But look at you, standing, still standing and caring. Thank you, author Avalon Brown, for this wonderful book. Nurses, we are still standing.
Amen.
I
Amen.
loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That's
Love it.
beautiful,
Love it. Love
Jean.
it. Well, ladies, I pray that you each have a safe and wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Got to give a shout out to who is that? Doretha. Dr. Doretha Smith was watching today, and she chimed in. Thanks to all those service members that helped to keep us safe by joining the military. We appreciate each and every one of you, and I just want to say thank you to all of our audience members. This is a labor of love, and today you guys really boosted us. Thank you very much. All right, if it's the Lord's will, we'll be back with another episode of Books and Besties. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for having
Enjoy
us.
your
Thank
weekend.
you. And
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Avalon. Love you, honey.
love you, Avalon. Love you,
Love you
Angie.
too.